generic waifu number 47. I just wanted to tell you all about my favorite YouTuber, Zinnis. He is the best YouTuber to have ever graced the earth, and you peasants are lucky to even get to hear his voice. He also has a massive pee-pee. He truly is the ultimate Chad. And no, I definitely wasn't paid to say this. Have a nice day, and be sure to subscribe to Zinnis.
Why thank you, generic waifu number 47. I'll take it from here. Alright, so how's it going everyone, and welcome back to my channel. At the time of me posting this video, it's almost been half a year since I've made a video like this. This video was supposed to be my biggest and most ambitious project so far. It was supposed to have a much bigger focus on cinematic editing and voiceovers, new and reworked structure, and all of that stuff. However, it was incredibly time consuming and it took up time that I just did not have. But I was determined to finish this cinematic documentary no matter how time consuming it would be. But then, something happened that fucking broke me. My Sony Vegas file corrupted with no backup file. I know this is entirely my fault and I was incredibly stupid for not making any backup files, but since I'm still relatively new to all this and it had never happened before, I just didn't think about it. So after a few days of consideration and speaking to Mister Bopi, I made up my mind on what to do. We remade the interview, and instead of cutting it up all cinematic-like, I will play you the interview in its raw entirety. It's quite a long interview, and I'm sure you guys will still love it and find it interesting, but I give a huge apology for not being able to deliver on what I was originally promising. But without further ado, let's get into this interview. So, to kick this off, I guess you could start by introducing, I guess, your history, like what you did before YouTube, like where you grew up and stuff like that.
Alright, well, I am Mister Bopi, also, well, you can call me Jon, whichever you prefer, but online I know as Mister Bopi. I'm a Belgian boy, just grew up in Belgium. And before YouTube, I've just kind of lived the normal quote-unquote life of a teenager, go to school, hang out with my friends, have some hobbies, try for college and everything. But around the age of 20, that all kind of changed, and that's when I decided to start with YouTube, or at least give it a try.
What is your channel about? What do you do on your channel?
Well, Mister Bopi is a channel that's focusing on games, really. Like so many others, I hate to think, but what I try to do is what I've always tried to do from the very start, is instead of focusing on popular games, I try to look for games online that nobody really knows, also known as indie games, and give those a try. Because often those are games that don't have a lot of production behind them, don't have a lot of media attention. But sometimes you find beautiful gems amongst them, hilarious games, beautiful games, and it's nice. Most of the time it's just demos or something, or like a small introduction. But it's also happened that I've actually went to a shop a couple of years later and actually see the game of which I once played the demo of, or like a very early stage. So it's pretty funny, really.
Is there any indie game that really sticks out to you?
Ooh, there was a couple. The first game that really brings back memories was called Garbage Pigeons, which is it was such an absurd game. It was like an RPG kind of game, made in RPG Maker, and it follows the story of Crabhat, a big fat blue pigeon, who gets into all kind of shenanigans, but the game, I can't really describe it. It was such an absurd game. There is a sort of storyline, but it's just all over the place, and so much things happen, and there's creatures and characters that you couldn't dream of, and it was such hilarious to me. I loved it so much. And the funny thing is that throughout the years playing those or that game, I've also kind of came into contact with the developer, and we're on a friendly basis with each other now, and you know, we help each other out. Like I play new games by him, for instance, and you know, he lets me do them in advance before they come out and stuff. So that's a couple of the things that I really enjoy. Other indie games, well, there's a couple really. Like I play a lot of horror games as well, for instance. So some of those that really gave me a good scare, for instance. But also games that are like fan games, really. Like a lot of Pokemon fan games, for instance. Attack on Titan as well. So people make their own 3D animations and modeling, and it's very impressive, really. And yeah, it's a couple of things that I really enjoy doing. But also, you know, sometimes there's also just, I wouldn't say crap, because everyone has their own impressions and ideas. But some games are just so different from what you can imagine as a AAA game, so to speak. Let's put it that way.
So you mentioned about the that one developer. Do you feel like you get any other like perks since you are like a YouTuber in the indie realm? Like, do people send you games often to play and stuff?
Yeah, that has happened, actually. That has happened a couple of times. There's some people that will come across your channel, and you know, although I'm just a small channel, for the past 5 years, really been under the radar all the time. But yeah, there is some developers that will contact you and be like, hey, I saw this video and I thought maybe you would be interested in playing our game, or give it a try. And then I always have a look at it first, because sometimes it's not really for me, which I'll be honest about as well. But most of the time it has indeed been something that I do give a shot. And also something that I always try with the indie games is at the end of the video I kind of give my impressions and a bit of criticism on what I enjoyed, what I think maybe they could work on and everything. So it kind of helps both parties, I guess. And yeah, it sure is fun. It sure is fun.
Have you ever ended up in any sort of drama with an indie developer? Because I know that some of them are really, what should I call it? They don't like when people criticize their games and stuff. Has anyone ever gotten upset over any criticism?
Well, the thing is, most games that I do play, I enjoyed. There's a couple of things that I you know, like I said, maybe could change or have some ideas in. But most of the games that end up on the channel, I actually did enjoy for some reason, or something about them that I really found interesting. When there is a game that I don't think that really works, most of the time I scrap the entire video, because I don't think it's entertaining to watch in general. But to answer your question, when I do give some criticisms, not really someone that got mad or something, but you know, there's always people that don't take it that well, I guess. And of course I understand that they try to defend it, and I also understand that making a game is very hard, because you know, I'm just playing their game and criticizing it, which of course is a lot easier. But so I always try to write it in the most respectful way as possible, and just, you know, share it as hints, or mention like there was an issue here. But yeah, drama, I wouldn't say no, or at least not that they mentioned. Maybe they were just being nice. Could be.
Yeah, maybe. So you do a lot of let's plays as well. You've played some bigger games as well, like Resident Evil and stuff. Would you say that they are better or worse for your channel in terms of like publicity and views and stuff?
Well, the issue with that, like, I'm a big fan of like you said, Resident Evil, so I will play those games. Also stream them from time to time and all, or Pokemon games and all. What I've noticed is that with actual long plays like that, is that my views are always a lot lower. I think I've got like a group of people that enjoys my horror games, and another group enjoys more indie games, I guess. So it's a bit of a switch. But the thing is, when I play indie games, like I said, most of the time it's just like a demo or an introduction. Those are like 1 moment videos, maybe 2, max 3 parts. Whilst actual AAA games, better known games, they will always take longer. So sometimes they will get more traffic than other parts. But in general, yeah, it's more the indie games that really do it for me, I guess. So something I enjoy doing more, because it's not always the same thing. And you can kind of switch around when you upload what, so to speak.
Yeah. And you also do a lot of streaming as well every week, right? Want to talk about your streaming?
Yeah, I do. I do try to stream at least once a week, sometimes twice. And yeah, like I said, I most of the time I would play games that I know from childhood, or like Resident Evil or Pokemon games, for instance, and do challenges and those. And originally I started doing that on YouTube, and then I went to Twitch. But after a year on Twitch, I kind of left the platform because of a lot of reasons about the platform itself, which I don't really support. So then I came back to YouTube, which I think is better because now all my content is in just one place, really. And it's easier to build a community on one platform, because it's not often that people will jump over to different ones as well. So, but yeah, right now I stream all sorts of games still. Like most of the time, games that I know in some sort of way. But there's also games that I will ask my viewers on the community tab or the Discord server and be like, what game should I play today? And then they will come up with ideas, and sometimes we play together as the community and stuff. So yeah, it's lots of fun, really. It's lots of fun. You get to learn new stuff. So
yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun interacting with the community in that way. Would you say that you think it's... What do you think is most fun, recording videos or live streaming?
Ooh, that's a tough question. There's a mix of both, really. There's like the things about recording videos or making them is that you can kind of throw in more jokes and make your own kind of concept about it and your own ideas. Whilst streaming does allow me to interact more with the viewer face to face, so to speak. But it's just like it's 2-3 hours in one go, perhaps, and there's no editing involved at all. So it's just that, and also not something that a lot of people will look back at later just because of the length of it, for instance. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a very difficult question for me personally. They both have their perks and their cons to me. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Is there any videos, I was just kind of curious, is there any videos that you kind of like regret or have deleted or something like that?
There is a couple that I didn't remove them, I just made them private, so nobody can watch unless they have the link to it. One of those was a playthrough of Fallout 4 back in the day when it came out. But my PC, I had my laptop there and it couldn't really run it that well. So I only had like 4 or 5 parts, which I didn't continue with at all. So I thought, just make them private. And I bet there's a couple more, like a couple of live streams as well, like where someone would have joined and they said something, which again, I can't cut out at that time when we play together with other people. And then I'm like, yeah, I can't leave this one online because that's just that's no good. But is there actual games that I regret? Maybe my most popular video series, which is Pokecon, which is like a hentai game, Pokemon hentai game on a convention, and there's like cosplayers dressed as Pokemon, and they get nude and stuff, and it's not that I regret that, it's just, Because here's the thing, I see that as an indie game as well. Someone made that. It's just for fun, and I thought, it looks funny. Why the hell not? Sure, there's nudity involved, and sure, that will get you a lot of views. But I never wanted to be like the YouTuber known for, he only shows titties, So in that matter, I kind of regret it because it did give me a lot of subscribers, which, I do appreciate, but it's not the content. I don't make the content constantly that they subscribe for in that matter. So it's a bit of, it gives me mixed feelings, really.
Yeah, that's understandable. I was actually gonna ask because I know that you have played hentai games, and I know a lot of my audience are like hentai fans. So I was gonna ask about which hentai games you have played, if anyone is interested in watching.
Yeah. Originally, for me, it kind of started like a friend of mine said, "Hey, you should play a love simulator game." And I remember when I was very young, me and my cousin, we would get online and we go to these browser side games, just play silly games and stuff. And there was one with Love Hina, the anime Love Hina, which is kind of explicit as well at certain points. Which is a love simulator date, but if you pick the right girl and the right decisions, at the end she gets naked. And I thought, it would be funny to play that again right now as an adult, because my friend asked, "Hey, you should play," and I was like, and then I thought of that one. It's like, yeah, let's do it. Of course, the third part where things get a bit more intimate, the last part, I did have to censor here and there, but people enjoyed it for obvious reasons. And then I kind of thought, why the hell not play something else? So I played another love simulator game, also the Pokemon hentai game. There was also a nudity game and stuff. That's actually one that I also removed. There was one game that had actual 3D models of people. It was like a party. I did remove those videos because YouTube's policy. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and just to make it clear for my audience, you don't want to be known as the person who plays hentai games, but I was just thinking if anyone was interested in those specific videos. But anyways, so what was the first game that you played on your channel?
A classic to me. It's Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, which is an RPG game, and it's a bit like, I guess you can compare it to Skyrim in first person, really, but back it was from 2004, I believe. It's quite an old game, oldish game by now. But me and my cousin, again, when we were young, we hung out a lot together, so he found the demo for the game, and we found it so amazing. You could interact with things, you could slash ropes so that things would drop, you could put ice spells on the floor so enemies would trip, you could jump, kick them off cliffs and stuff. It was so amazing. So when I got my actual PC at the age of 12, that was the first game I bought, and I've played it so many times. So when I started my YouTube channel, I thought, I want to go back to that nostalgia, start with a game that I do know by heart, and then the decision was very easy for me to play Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. So that was the first game. That's where I began.
Yeah, that's probably the fantasy game with the most satisfying physics that I have ever played in my life as well.
Especially because it's so old. I mean, 2004, you'd think, but I mean, it's still up to today. The graphics and everything, and the combat, it still works so damn well. So I highly recommend it to anyone who is into that kind of stuff, the dark fantasy RPG games. Do check it out.
Oh yeah, it has such amazing like ragdoll physics. You just kick someone and they just go flying.
And also you can just kill civilians, but
yeah. So how come you just or how come you created your channel? Like, did you just sit down one day and was like, I want to do YouTube, I'm gonna play some Dark Messiah and I'm gonna upload it? Or how did the thought process of that go?
Well, a bit like you described, really. I just, well, for me personally, I kind of wanted to, because I've always been a gamer ever since growing up with my Game Boy and PlayStation and all. So I always been into video games, and I thought, maybe it would be fun if I were able to share it with someone. I wanted to do it as at the age of 16, back when, all the Let's Players kind of was starting to become a thing on YouTube. But at the time, I didn't have the equipment for recording. I didn't have a proper PC, I didn't have a mic, I didn't have a webcam, because I was only 16, of course. So, and also because of a lot of medical issues and personal related stuff, it just didn't happen until the age of 20, when I was in high school. I just thought, fuck it, let's go, let's give it a try. And that's where it all began for me. So, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, that's interesting. So, there was something I was just about to ask. Well, so what the name Mister Bopi? Where does that come from?
Right. So originally, if you see my first videos, you will see, and also hear that I say, welcome to a new Bopi the Boopy 59 or whatever. Like, hey, my name is Bopi the Boopy 59. So originally that was my channel's name, was Bopi the Boopy 59. Now, the 59 part is very simple. That's the number of my favorite Pokemon, which is Arcanine in the National Dex. And then the Bopi the Boopy part is from a Family Guy episode where Peter grows a mustache, which then he thinks he can speak Italian. He goes into like an Italian butchery and he's like, "Scusi, Bopi the Boopy." And I always loved that bit so much. It was so hilarious that I, from that point, kind of started naming myself online like Bopi the Boopy, and then add the 59 part. But I'm not quite sure. I think like a year in or something. It was, yeah, I think I was making videos for a while, but not that long as well. A lot of people didn't know how to pronounce it or anything, and I thought, if I ever would get big, it's not gonna happen, by the way, but one can dream, then I have to pick something catchy, something simple. So then I thought, let's just cut the Bopi and the 59, then I had Boopy. Boopy is rather simple, and then I thought, let's add Mister to it, so Mister Bopi then kind of came to existence, and I switched everything to that, and that's what I go by now. And even in real life, the people that know me in person, my friends and all, sometimes they will also refer to me as Boopy instead of my actual name, so that's it's quite funny to me, but I can deal with it, it's fine.
That is an interesting story. I just remembered what I was about to ask. I was also gonna ask you, so you have a Let's Play channel, and you mentioned that you wanted to do it, to make YouTube videos ever since you were 16, when that whole thing took off. What Let's Play channel or channels have been your inspiration, if any?
I've never really been a big fanboy of any channel in particular. I just really enjoyed the idea. Because, like, a friend of mine, for instance, when PewDiePie became a thing, he was like, oh, check out this guy. But I've never been a fan of PewDiePie when he did the gaming stuff, because he was always shouting and screaming, and it's never really been my kind of thing. But, I mean, it worked for him, apparently, so good for him. But other than that, over time I watched some videos, like, I watched Markiplier and Jacksepticeye from time to time, and Cryotic. But it's never been that I've been a huge fan or like a huge fanboy or anything. Just watched them from time to time, and yeah, I kind of thought, that I enjoy the idea of someone, me playing games and then upload it, and someone out there who's having a bad day and be like, oh, what's this guy doing? And he would click my video and sat there for 10 minutes, me being my silly self, with my stupid jokes that I often only find I'm using myself. And I thought, if I can share those 10 minutes and turn someone's shitty day and just make them forget for their crap for 10 minutes, that would be amazing. Whilst I can do what I enjoy doing, which is play games and all, and that kind of those two kind of combined is what got me made to do YouTube, which is also my my about page. I think I still try and do it up to today, and here we are.
Yeah, that is really inspiring to hear, to be honest. But so you don't just play video games on YouTube as well. You also have a second channel where you do some other stuff. Want to tell us about the other stuff?
Yes, I have a Pornhub account. No, my it's not true. Maybe, who knows? I call it Mister Bopi. No, of Master Bopi. No, yeah. My second channel is called Boosters and Boxes, and as the name may or may not suggest, I open boosters and boxes over there. So it's a bit of an unboxing kind of channel. So ever since a child, I've always been a huge geek and also a huge collector. Meaning that, I grew up with anime, with Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Digimon. And not only play the games, but also collect the cards and collectibles and figurines and shit. And that always kind of stuck with me. And when I was around the age of 13, I also got into hobbying, a model builder or a hobbyist. Meaning that I also collect and paint Lord of the Rings miniatures. And I've always kept on doing that throughout the years, still collecting cards, paint, miniatures, and stuff like that. And so I made a channel on all of that as well. So one week I will open a box of cards of Pokemon, next week of Yu-Gi-Oh! And then show you hey, I got some miniatures. I'm assemble them, see what they're like and stuff. So now originally I did all of this on the Mister Bopi channel as well. So but over time, I got 10 videos or something that were me opening Pokemon cards, and I thought, it's just such a different audience. It just doesn't, because not everyone that enjoys horror games will also like me, watch me open Pokemon cards, for instance. So I thought it's such a different world apart, and I thought, I'm just gonna make a second channel, and because the originally my channel, Bob the Boopy, it had the B and the B sound and Mister Boopy as well. So I thought I want to do something with a B as well, alliteration. And I thought boosters and boxes, because that's basically what I do. I open boosters, I open boxes, and then that came into existence over time. Which is also, by the way, a tip for anyone who wants to do YouTube. If you have different audiences, different things, such as myself, do split them up into channels. I can highly recommend it. Really, really do that. That's a free little tip from Mister Bopi. You're welcome. Like and subscribe.
So
both our channels.
How well have that channel turned out in terms of growth and stuff like that compared to the Mister Bopi channel?
Funny thing is that it's actually doing better. Although right now I'm almost or on my way to 500 subs on that channel, and I've had it for almost 2 years now. Well, you compare that Mister Boopy, it took me 2 years to get to 200 subs. Although of course, right now with boosters and boxes, I do have better equipment. I know how to edit. I know what to do and what not to do, and also how to promote and what not to do, how to promote or how not to promote rather. So that of course does go into play. But yeah, it's actually doing a lot better, and I think, to be honest, that if they were the first channel to get to 2,000 subs, I think it would rather be Boosters and Boxes, which is at almost 500 now, than the main channel, Mister Bopi, which is at 1,300, 1,400 at this point. So, yeah, it's more of a niche, I think, because gaming is oversaturated. Everyone does it. And although I try and stand out and do my own little thing, getting viewers is kind of tricky. However, with Boosters and Boxes, it's a bit more specific. It's stuff that I know a lot more about as well. So it's also easier to find groups to share it with, for instance, and find people that find it interesting to watch. So, yeah. But that I don't mind, really. I don't mind. It's a nice little split, I guess. Like, sometimes it's nice to make a gaming video, but it gets tiring sometimes, and then I'm glad to open a box of cards, for instance, so it makes me happy.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say also, since you mentioned it, how would you say it is for a smaller creator to put yourself out there and promote yourself and get viewers? How hard is that? And like, what is your strategy for that?
Well, the first thing you have to know if you want to start YouTube is, which I hear a lot of people think, is don't have the expectation of making money or being big. It's most likely, realistically speaking, not going to happen at all. So, yeah, do keep that in mind. Do start with it as a hobby because you enjoy it and because you want to make videos, and don't pressure yourself. Work out a schedule that you can follow and live by. Because if you're gonna pressure yourself into putting shit out as fast as possible, because there's channels that upload every day, they don't get any views per video. Focus on quality, not quantity. That's very important. But even then, it's very, very hard, and most likely you will stay under the radar. However, that being said, it also depends on your niche. If it's something that not a lot of people talk about online or on YouTube, it's a lot easier to gain a following on that because you're so limited to it. Which is, for instance, also with Boosters and Boxes, my miniatures is very specific to a certain group of people that play the game or are into tabletop games and everything. However, gaming is very wide, so... And with gaming, if you don't follow the trends, like as we record it right now, Among Us, Fall Guys, even Fortnite, the big games everyone plays these days. If you want to have a chance, and I say a chance to get recognized as a gaming channel, you'll have to follow that and only do that. But I've never done that, or very limited, because I always thought, do I want to have fun, or do I want to do something because it potentially will make me bigger, but I don't really enjoy it, and I decided to go with the things that I find more amusing, because otherwise you'll just, eventually you'll crash, because it's important to have fun in what you do, and not be in it for the numbers. So that's my advice I can give you.
Yeah, I think that is a pretty wise mindset to have when it comes to YouTube. I feel like a lot of people making YouTube channels, they're expecting way too much out of it.
Oh yeah. Especially like younger people as well. Like, there's a couple of kids out there that got big with gaming channels as well, for instance, or whatever. And because YouTube also, it's not just following the trends. Well, it's important. Also finding a niche, also important. But you also have to be very lucky. So, but yeah, I see a lot of people that try and they will quit after like a year or two because it doesn't pick up, and you have to be dedicated, and you have to do it in the first place because you want to do it and because you enjoy it. And whoever joins you on your adventure along the way, it's nice, and I've been doing this for 5.5 years now. I'm only at 1,300 subs at this point, which a lot of people would think are that much people to follow you. But among those 1,300 people, there's a lot of new people that I've met, a lot of friends that I made. Also you, for instance. So yeah, those are also the fun things in doing this.
Yeah, so you would never say that the slow growth is like disencouraging in any way.
Oh yeah, it certainly is, because I mean, you for me, for instance, I put so many hours per day in my videos to maybe get like 10-15 minutes of content, and sometimes you barely get like 10 views, which is very discouraging most of the time, and it does get me depressed at times as well. But at the same time, yeah, I guess you kind of have to accept it. And I also think that my second channel is very helpful in that, because there I do see that it gains some traffic and it is doing better than the main channel. So I guess that really helps. But if you only have one channel and it's not picking up, then I can understand that it does bring you down. But yeah, you do. If you are serious about it, you have to dedicate yourself to it and do it because you want to do it, not because any other reason, really.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna move on to some less fun topics here. You have hinted towards it before, and it's you suffering from certain disorders. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. I've always been an open book on that. But yeah, what I mentioned earlier about wanting to start with YouTube at age 16, besides not having the equipment, like I said, at that age I also got diagnosed with a rare blood disorder. So, which basically meant from one day to the other being a normal teenage boy going to school, trying to make something of his life, that all got thrown over, and life just did a complete 360 degree on me. So a lot of stuff has happened because of that. I had to quit school because I was very tired all the time. I still am up to today, which is also why, as right now I'm 25, so 9 years later, I still don't have a job for that reason. Simply because my sleep schedule is so fucked, and my body is just exhausted most of the time, really. And you see your dreams and your plans, they kind of crush at such a young age of a teenager, where also your hormones get into play and everything, and your girlfriend left me, my girlfriend left me, my grandparents, who I were very close with and saw on a daily basis, they both passed away in the following years. My best friend, he unfortunately also hung himself due to his own demons in his mind. So yeah, it does take a toll on your mental health, especially at that age, I guess. And from one day to another, you kind of have to grow up and become an adult, which of course you're not ready for. And all the things that you wanted to do are no longer possible, or very, very limited. And yeah, so it got me in a very, very deep, dark spiral of depression and suicidal thoughts, and psychiatrists and the whole bunch. So it still isn't the easiest of times, really. Also because of my blood disorder, at the organ that's kind of failing also has an influence on your mental state. So doctors now think that it's more of a inside thing. It's not really, I don't really need any triggers. Sometimes from one day to the other, or moment, even second, I get very dark thoughts in my mind, and it's very hard to live with, because I kind of don't see a future ahead of me, I guess. So And that's why I also focus on my YouTube content, because I kind of, as long as I focus on a certain thing, I kind of don't leave room for any darkness to crawl in. But, at the same time, if I hang out with friends, for instance, we were at the age of 25 where they all have their own lives. They start a family, they move in together, they think of getting married. And yeah, at moments like that, it's very heartbreaking, even to me. It's just things that I realize won't be happening anytime soon. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's how should I call it? It's definitely sad to hear, and I'm truly sorry about it. But
Yeah, well, yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
I guess so. But you would say that your channel has, in some sort of way, helped you with it, or?
Yeah. Although, like I said, of course, it brings you down at times as well. But yeah, it certainly has helped me, and the small community that I have made, there's a lot of people that really do support me in it, and are understanding of the situation as well. And because I also sometimes upload videos where I talk about what's going on and be like, I'm gonna take a little break or anything because I'm doing this or that, or it's just a bit too much. I try to be very open towards my viewers or anyone interested in it, really. But yeah, it does keep me focused as well. It does keep me focused, and I set deadlines and schedules for myself that I know I have to reach in order to get my shit in time, finished in time. And yeah, in that aspect, it certainly has helped me to try and make the best of the life that I have been given, I guess.
Yeah, I understand, and yeah, I definitely wish you all the best with that, and I hope things will get sorted out the best ways they can, basically.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's try to move on to something a bit more fun. You had your 5-year anniversary this year.
Yes.
What did you do for your 5-year anniversary?
I did a Q&A. So basically, when I gained 100 subs at the time, which was 1 year in, I like the exact date that I started my channel. A year later, I got 100 subs. I did a Q&A, and I thought, it was pretty funny. I got a lot of weird and silly questions, so I thought, let's do it again. And now with more people, a bit of a community behind it. So I did another Q&A for them, and yeah, we talked about serious things, we talked about silly things. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny.
Did you get a lot of the standard Q&A questions, like how big your dick is and if you're gay and stuff like that?
No, actually, no. Surprisingly not. That was more for the first one, I think. Those were a bit more abstract and strange, but no, I think in this one, the people that asked questions, they kind of wanted to get to know me a bit better as well, and a bit of info behind the channel, perhaps. So yeah, the questions were a bit more serious this time, but I'm fine with both. I can take a good laugh, but I also like a deep, meaningful conversation. So it's nice to see that there's other people like that among us.
Yeah, exactly. You've done a bunch of what's it called, and anniversaries, and also like sub goal specials and stuff. Are there any others that you wanna tell about?
I think that the two that I enjoyed making the most were when I hit 151 subs. You might think that's a strange number, and it is. But for me, because I play Pokemon games a lot, for instance, and open a card and all, what I did was, when I got 151 subs, I faked a Skype conversation at a time. Skype with Professor Oak from Pokemon saying like, Professor, I got all 151. And then the professor was like, yeah, well, there's actually a lot more out there since you started. And I was like, oh, fuck. As in, there's a lot more people to reach and convince of my skills as a content creator. And the second one would definitely be when I when I hit 1,000 subs, because then I kind of held a party, so to speak, for all 1,000 subscribers. But the joke was that nobody turned up, so I kind of like set up a table with booze and beverages and snacks and stuff, and then I was just dressed in my suit and waiting, be like, okay, well, I guess the good people come a bit later, and eventually it kind of turned towards the night, so to speak, and then there was me just talking to a plushie of a Magikarp and chokingly being drunk and feeding the plushie some chips and shit while they dropped to the floor, and yeah, I really enjoyed making those. Yeah,
that does sound really funny.
I do it all. Like and subscribe.
Exactly. So, what are your plans for the future with the channel, and do you have any goals for the channel for the future?
I guess just keep on going. That's it really. Yeah, I won't be going any soon, anywhere. So I just keep on going, and who knows, whoever joins me on that path, be welcome. And I'll just try and have fun and make the best of it. And in the meantime, we'll just see. I don't really have any specific plans. That's something I've learned. It just, just go day by day. And because I know that life can just turn upside down in one day or 1 second. So we'll just see. I don't have any specific plans, but, we'll see.
Yeah, I understand. And I definitely encourage my viewers to join you on that journey. I certainly have, and I do really enjoy your videos, I must say. I can highly recommend.
I can recommend them too.
Well, thank you so much. I think this was all the questions that I had for you. This has been the longest interview I have ever done, and I think it's been...
I know I talk too much, I'm sorry.
No, I think it's been really, really good. That's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Alright, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I had a lot of fun, so yeah, I enjoyed it.